Good morning and welcome, Clackamas County. Welcome to our issues and updates for Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, you are up.
Thank you, Vice Chair West. Chair Smith is out of the office today. Vice Chair West will be chairing the meeting. This room setup is only for today because we're having a budget meeting Thursday, but we'll be back to regular setup next week. We have a long list. We'll get started. Chair, will you please convene as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board of Directors?
Thank you, Gary. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board. Thank you.
Thank you. First item is Advisory Board appointments. Tony, go ahead, please.
The Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board, staffed by NCPRD, currently has 3 openings on the commission due to term expirations and 1 resignation. Through a recruitment process, 3 applications were received, 3 are recommended for appointment. All are new. Recommendation is Riley Clark Long to a first term, Lorraine Colaci to a first term, and Janine Hesse to a first term.
Can I have a motion?
So moved for appointment.
Second. I have a motion from Commissioner Savas and a second from Commissioner Schrader. Tony, can you please call the poll?
Director Shull?
Aye.
Director Schrader?
Aye.
Director Savas?
Aye.
Vice Chair West?
Aye. The motion passes 4-0.
Great, thank you. Next is request for consent agenda for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. Item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas Community College for community-based instruction programs. Total value is $45,204 for 3 years. Funding is through anticipated revenue and recreation services programming. No county general funds are involved. Kia Selly, the Director of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Vice Chair West and directors. NCPRD has a long-standing partnership with Clackamas Community College to promote and provide instructional programs at NCPRD facilities with NCPRD staff or contractors. Some of these programs are recreational, such as water aerobics, while other programs provide critical training for NCPR staff to effectively do their jobs, such as lifeguard training and CPR training. Clackamas Community College receives funding for this program through the state of Oregon, and NCPRD can receive up to $15,000 each year for the next 3 years through this agreement.
So yeah, ask if there's any questions or comments from your colleagues.
Comments? Any? No. Can I do I need a motion or
Nope,
no? We're
this
going
will
to
be
the
on
next
this-
one.
This
Got
goes to
it.
consent agenda. So next item 2, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas Community College for an educational and enrichment services. Total value is $209,784 for 3 years. Funding through North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District General Fund. No county general funds are involved.
Thank you, Gary. This second agreement with Clackamas Community College represents another partnership to deliver a broad range of programming at NCPRD facilities that is targeted for adults age 62 and older. Classes include fitness, such as yoga, to educational enrichment, such as arts programs and foreign language programs. Clackamas Community College recruits and hires qualified instructors and allocates funding to NCPRD for up to $70,000 per year. Funding covers the full cost of registration for adults age 62 and over and half the cost of program registrants that are under the age of 62.
Any questions, thoughts? Seeing none.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Kia. Chair, will you please reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
I will now recess or adjourn as, sorry, not recess, but I will adjourn as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
You'll be meeting as the board for the rest of today's items. Next is request for consent agenda for the Board of County Commissioners. First, Finance Department. Item 1, acknowledging the fiscal year 2023 audit findings and approving the plan of corrective action to address the findings. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved. Elizabeth Comfort, Finance Director, and Rod Cook, Director of Health, Housing, Human Services. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Elizabeth Comfort, Finance Director. Today we have a follow-up on a finding with our single audit for fiscal year '23. We brought this as a memo a couple of weeks ago that we would be bringing this back to you for consent agenda. There is not a resolution with this. This is a request for you to approve our corrective action plan. Our single audit is on the federal grants for fiscal year '23. We had 3 that were submitted after the due date. And before you on page 2 of the packet, we have our corrective action plan, which includes compiling an inventory and working with H3S. This is a little different than some of our other grants that the county has. We have decentralized this part with health centers. They've always done an excellent job managing their contracts, and their grants and their reporting. And so what we're going to do is partner with them on ensuring that there's an inventory of all of the grants with the due dates. And then we as finance will work with them to double check and make sure that all the due dates are met. And so that inventory will be important. And if there are extensions, we'll keep those extension permissions on record and just meet frequently with them. So we ask you to consider this.
Thank you. We did already speak quite a bit about this previously, so any other questions or concerns? Seeing none.
Okay, thank you. Next, disaster management. Item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Emergency Management for funds to acquire and demolish a severe repetitive loss residential property. Total value is $543,391 for 100% coverage over 3 years. Funding is through a federal flood mitigation assistance grant. No county general funds are involved. Daniel Nybauer, Director of Disaster Management. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Vice Chair West and Commissioners. We brought this forth to you on executive session on May 21st. This is using a FEMA grant to buy out a residential property that has seen consistent flooding. The homeowner has voluntarily participated in this program, and this will allow us to move this process forward.
Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, so this price includes the demolition of the existing building.
This price does include the demolition of the building.
And so are you going to leave the property in a state of just natural condition with no required maintenance required as it is in a flood zone?
It is in a flood zone and we return to a natural state.
Okay.
Occasionally we do see issues with the property and we deal with those, but
Like mowing and, okay.
usually it's things like a tree falling down
Okay.
or brush in the right of way. And
All
we
right,
go
so it's
and
going to be a
address
minimum cost to the county to maintain it?
it. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, thoughts? And am I right that the property owner is amicable to this and is wanting to work with us to make this happen?
Yes, and has waited for a couple of years for this IGA to come through. And
Perfect. Okay. Any other thoughts? Anybody? Seeing none.
Okay. Item 2, approval to an amendment with the State of Oregon for the fiscal year 2023 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement. Amendment value is $38,864 for 1 year. Total value becomes $288,770 for 1 year. Funding is through Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant and matching funds of $144,385 of budgeted county general funds.
the Emergency Management Performance Grant is a recurring federal grant that provides reimbursement for local emergency management activities. Here in Clackamas County, we use that for salary and benefit reimbursement of staff. Other counties within Oregon did not use their full allocated amount, so the state is reallocating that to counties that are using it. So in our case, we will get a small additional amount.
Any other questions or thoughts? Seeing none.
Item 3, approval to apply for fiscal year 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant between Clackamas County and the State of Oregon. Estimated value is $200,000 for 12 months. Funding through Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant and matching funds of $100,000 of budgeted county general funds.
This is the same grant program. This is for fiscal year 24 as opposed to 23, and this is our request to apply for that. There, as you saw, the grant amounts have been consistently decreasing year after year, but we still would like the opportunity to apply for that grant.
Seeing no further questions or concerns,
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Next, Health, Housing, and Human Services. Item 1, approval of a board order authorizing a purchase order with Robert Half International for temporary employee services for financial reporting, accounting, and procurement services. Purchase order value is $52,217.60 for 6 months. Funding is through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved. Rod Cook, Director of Health, Housing, and Human Services. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Periodically, public health needs temporary employees to provide financial reporting, accounting, and procurement services. Services will be purchased using a cooperative contract with Robert Half International Incorporated. Approval of this board order will ensure fiscal and procurement compliance.
Any thoughts, questions? Seeing none?
Item 2, approval of an expense intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas Fire District Number 1 to support the Project Hope program. Agreement value is $10,000 for 25 months. Funding is through CARE Oregon. No county general funds are involved.
Project Hope is a multidisciplinary group of community partners working to address substance abuse and overdose in Clackamas County. It includes community paramedics, public health, peer mentors, case management, and justice partners. One critical aspect of this program is providing financial assistance and support to Project Hope participants to overcome any obstacles that may hinder their successful recovery. Through this agreement, $10,000 will be passed to Clackamas Fire District for community paramedic to cover participant support costs, including transportation, medical appointments, basic needs, startup recovery, housing, and emergency medication fills.
Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cook. I want to say, for $10,000, what this Project Hope does for Clackamas County and people in other counties too, across the county line, is tremendous. A tremendous bang for the buck. If everything we do, we could get that much benefit out of that little money, we'd be doing great. So please pass on to everybody at Fire District Number 1 and those involved in Project Hope. Thank you very much for the work you do for the people of Clackamas County.
Thank you. We will.
Seeing none?
Item 3, approval of a federal subrecipient grant with Clackamas Fire District Number 1 for the Community Paramedic Program. Grant value is $1,002,563 for 2 years. Funding is through the American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery funds. No county general funds are involved.
Through this agreement, Clackamas Fire will be able to hire a full-time community paramedic, 2 full-time community emergency medical technicians, and a part-time case manager across Clackamas County to address health care gaps and provide critical service to vulnerable populations.
Any questions, concerns? Seeing none?
Item 4, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Sandy to provide support for the Mount Hood Express bus service, Boring Lifeline services, and elderly and disabled transportation services. Agreement value is $688,400 for 2 years. Funding is through the State of Oregon Rail and Public Transit Division funds and $55,000 of budgeted county general funds.
Under this agreement, the City of Sandy will provide funding for on-demand transportation services for fiscal year 23-24, previously provided through a contract with the Senior Center. It will increase funding for the Boring Lifeline service and extended services to Estacada and Damascus. The funding will enable the City of Sandy to provide approximately 1,243 rides.
Seeing none?
Item 5, approval of an amendment increasing funding and updating the language to an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Sandy for transportation services to support rural elderly and disabled individuals. Amendment value is $88,000 and the total agreement value is increased to $501,048 for 2 years. Funding is through the State of Oregon and $55,000 of budgeted county general funds.
This request pertains to the agreement you just heard about, where the City of Sandy is offering additional Boring Lifeline transportation services. This amendment covers the cost of preventative maintenance for newly acquired county vehicles.
Seeing none?
Item 6, approval of an amendment increasing funding and duration of a personal services contract with MV Public Transportation for the operation of the Mount Hood Express service. Amendment value is $909,912 for 1 year. Total agreement value is increased to $4,228,615.08 for 5 years. Funding is through the Federal Transit Administration, Federal Highway Administration, and statewide transportation improvement funds, and $55,000 of budgeted county general funds.
As you know, Mount Hood Express is the only and vital public transit service connecting the city of Sandy and destinations for work and recreation in the area. It enhances tourism, infrastructure, and provides essential transportation for individuals and families. Clackamas County Social Services has received Federal Transit Administration 5311 Rural Transit Funds since 2007. This amendment extends the current contract to June 30, 2025, and increases funding accordingly to cover the costs. With this funding, the Mount Hood Express will deliver approximately 75,000 rides.
Seeing no comments?
Item 7, approval of an amendment extending the duration and increasing funding of an intergovernmental agreement with the South Metro Area Regional Transit for on-demand transportation services to the Villebois Community Housing. Amendment value is $87,000 for 12 months. Total agreement value increased to $309,140 for 4 years. Funding is through the Oregon Health Authority. No county general funds are involved.
This agreement provides on-demand transportation services specifically designed for residents of the Villebois Community Housing Site. Transportation services are provided Monday through Friday. This amendment extends the term of the agreement 14 months and additional funding for the extended period. The average monthly ridership is approximately 992 individuals.
Mr. Cook, is this going specifically to the group home housing that is scattered throughout Villebois, to those specific sites, or is it going to a specific care facility?
It's throughout Villebois, but I understand that if the van isn't full, individuals such as yourself could also use this transportation services, but it would be first priority to those sites to where we have our folks, and then if there's spaces, others can.
So does it work like a on schedule, like a bus system?
Yeah, it's on demand. So they call up and say, can you come please pick us up and take us to either doctor appointments, shopping, those type of things.
Okay. And the grant's through Metro?
This particular grant is through Oregon Health Authority.
Oregon Health Authority. It seems a little bit like an expensive way to transport. They're using, so it's 900 and something rides, because I don't know if we have that many, that population necessarily in Villebois by itself.
It's up to.
It's up to 900, or do we know what ridership is?
The average monthly ridership is approximately 992, and that was between the years of 2021 and 2024. So that's a pretty.
And that's trips, not individuals.
That's trips.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Just one comment on all of these that are transit related. I just want to acknowledge all the great work that our small transit providers, including our own here at Clackamas County, are working together collaboratively to extend the reach and the routes and make connections that we have not had before. This is not only. There's a lot more layers to this, but this is a great time. Just acknowledge the great work and just be mindful that our small transit providers are doing a lot to work together. So,
yeah,
much appreciated.
Yes. Any further comments? Seeing none.
Item 8, approval of a revenue provider agreement with Care Oregon for behavioral health services. Agreement value is $5,836,896 for 12 months. Funding is through the Oregon Health Plan. No county general funds are involved.
This agreement provides funding for wraparound services for youth 17 and under and behavioral health crisis and safety net services, including crisis walk-in clinics, mobile crisis teams, a 24-hour crisis line, peer support services, and health promotion and prevention services. Furthermore, this agreement allocates funds for the Jail Care Coordination Pilot Project, which aims to assist incarcerated individuals who are assumed members of Care Oregon and have a documented behavioral health or substance use disorder.
Any further comments or concerns? Seeing none.
Item 9, approval of a board order approving the issuance of purchase orders to procure various office furniture products for the Lake Road Health Center through Pacific WRO under a cooperative contract. Purchase order value is $903,235.11. Funding is through Health Center's fund balance. No county general funds are involved.
On July 27, 2023, the board approved a purchase and sale agreement for the new health center at 6605 Southeast Lake Road in Milwaukee. The renovated area will require new office furniture, which will comply with current county standards. This request will authorize the county finance department to issue a purchase order so that we can obtain the necessary office supplies.
That's good.
Seeing none.
Item 10, approval of a subrecipient agreement with Clackamas Community College for the Career Restart Program. Agreement value is $250,000 for 2 years and 3 months. Funding is through county-allocated American Rescue Plan Act funds. No county general funds are involved.
The Career Restart Program will offer educational and training services such as on-the-job training, career guidance, employer engagement, and assistance with finding employment. They will also provide career training, develop fast-track career pathways, and offer employment services to clients from Coffee Creek Correctional Facility and other Oregon prisons returning to Clackamas County after incarceration.
Commissioner Scholl.
Mr. Cook, the board approved these funds quite a long time ago. Why is this just a late application of the money? What's the deal here?
I'm not sure why it's just now being activated with the college. I can get that information to you. Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, we have until, this fall to make sure everything's designated and...
The end of this calendar year, it has to be appropriated or
Yes.
designated and then spent by the end of 2026. I don't know does anyone in the room, Nancy, do you know why the delay here? Let's answer it now, please.
And so, Nancy, my other part of the question is this the last one? Everything else that's been appropriated is in the process of being spent, correct?
So we have other agreements actually before you today for ARPA. We still are working on some. There's some dollars that we will be bringing back to the commissioners saying
Okay.
they weren't spent, so
Yeah,
where do
okay.
we could put those? I will say this one in particular, it was held up because the final rule was changing again for probably the 10th time. And because of how this one was written and some of the things that we were wanting to do with it originally in the final rule, we weren't able to do, but we had to wait for that final rule to
I
come
see.
to fruition.
Well, you can always count on the federal government to make things interesting for you. Thank you.
Especially with ARPA, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So final is not final.
I'm sorry?
Final is not final.
Final, and actually, we still have another final rule. It's not out yet. Yeah. Thank you.
I will say this, after speaking to Nancy about the issues around ARPA, it is quite complicated. And it is a unusual grant process that's been unique to the county to have to navigate. And there have been multiple instances of us working really hard to get things moving. But when working through this kind of bureaucratic morass, it has been challenging at times, to say the least. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. I have worked with grants my entire career in government. I have never had anything this difficult.
And we are really trying to be good partners along the way and be very cognizant of how this has been not just a burden on the county, but the recipients that would have liked to count on these funds a little sooner. It is not for a lack of trying on the county's part, has been the feedback that I've gotten.
Yeah. And our recipients have been very patient. We really appreciate that.
Yes, we do appreciate their patience with us, because I know that they have been like, what is going on at times, but we are doing the best we can with the constraints put on us by the federal government.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that update.
Okay, thank you. Next, Technology Services, item 1, approval to apply, approval for a new service level agreement with the City of Wilsonville for new fiber to 2 water towers. Total value is $255,000. Funding is through the Clackamas Broadband Exchange monthly cable lease revenue. No county general funds are involved. Lanu Parapilli, Director of Technology Services. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Vice Chair and Commissioners. I'm here for your approval for a new service level agreement between CBX and City of Wilsonville for new fiber connections to 2 of their water towers. So this will enable City of Wilsonville to have enhanced communication services between the water towers, to better manage the services. The total value is $255,500, and the SLA is over 5 years. And this includes both the monthly recurring charges of support fees as well as the construction fees. The funding is through CBX, cable lease revenue. No county general funds are involved in this. Thank you.
What is the amount, Lanu?
$255,500.
Okay, there's a typo in my list. We'll correct that.
Okay, perfect. Any thoughts or concerns, anybody? Seeing none.
Okay, thank you, Lanu. Next, County Administration, item 1, approval of a subrecipient grant agreement with Foothills Community Church as manager of the Malala Adult Community Center for pre-construction activities for a new facility. The subrecipient contract value is $200,000, ending March 31st, 2025. Funding is through Federal American Rescue Plan Act dollars. No county general funds are involved. Nancy Bush, County Operating Officer, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. So yes, this is for the Malala Center, and this is for expansion of their services. They have, several services they do in their community, including, providing meals, providing transportation, and also this is in a more depressed area of the county as well. And so they are very eligible for this. And it did take us a while to get this one through, but we're finally ready to get Malala Center rolling.
Seeing no further comments.
Item 2, approval of a subrecipient grant agreement with the Canby Center Construction Assistance for the expansion of the Canby Center. The subrecipient value is $640,000, ending August 31st, 2025. Funding through Federal American Rescue Plan Act funds. No county general funds are involved.
So this one, too, is for the Canby Center, and this one is primarily for food security. They're expanding that portion of their center. And they are actually already under construction, and working toward getting this finished.
Question.
Commissioner Scholl.
Nancy, this is in addition to the other funds we pushed out with ARPA dollars for the construction of the new Canby Center.
These are our construction dollars for the Canby Center.
These are construction dollars?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any further comments? Seeing none, Gary.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Next, Transportation and Development, item 1, approval of a board order vacating a portion of, I can't pronounce it, Shariri Road, a non-maintained local access road. No fiscal impact, no county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, and will correctly pronounce that for me, please.
I'm not sure I'm going to correctly pronounce it either. Good morning, Vice Chair West and Commissioners. We are so far away. This is so odd. We are here. Road vacations are not new to the Board of County Commissioners. In a sense, we have a unimproved road right-of-way. We're just going to go with this road that's on this report. Essentially, we have it's about 16,000 square feet, and essentially we've had a petition with 100% of the property owners adjoining it requesting that we vacate it. This is basically surplus right-of-way that has become available due to the realignment of an intersection, and there's no public necessity for it. We ran it through all our various programs and departments to ensure there's no future need for it. I'm here to affirm the fact that there's no need for it, and we look for your authorization to approve the vacation of it. You want to try to pronounce it? Anybody?
It looks French, so I didn't take French in high school, so I'm not going to try.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, I have no idea. Bonjour, I don't know.
Charrier.
Charrier, that's where I was going.
Charrier.
Charrier, en français. Oui.
Commissioner Savas is the sophisticated one on the dais.
I took French at
Did you?
in high school.
I could ask my husband. He's French, French Canadian, so I don't know, but he's not here. Any further comments or concerns? Seeing none.
Item 2, approval of a grant agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation, Transportation Safety Office for the purposes of a research project to inform the county's work on reducing driving under the influence. Total value is $428,582.39 through September 30th, 2026. Funding is through a state grant of $340,833 with $87,749.39 in matching funds through county road funds. No county general funds are involved.
Thank you so much. Essentially, this is part of a 3-year grant to conduct consolidated transportation safety planning that will help transform our systems. Essentially, the objective is to create safer roads and safer road users countywide. There's 3 key areas to this grant. One of which is to integrate the safe systems approach into the county's transportation and development planning process. What is that? Just for sake of discussion, essentially, it's trying to reduce serious injuries and fatalities into our design by accommodating human mistakes. Essentially, it's expanding the way we look at and design our roadways. Number 2 is to build a post-crash triage system for serious and fatal traffic crashes that seeks to better understand the root cause of that particular crash. And then 3 is basically developing a comprehensive marketing campaign targeting one of the most common behaviors causing serious and fatal crashes, which is distracted driving. Those are the 3 primary objectives with this particular grant. I'd be happy to answer any more questions, but essentially we're respectfully recommending the Board of County Commissioners approve and sign the grant application with the Oregon Department of Transportation. So,
Seeing no comments or concerns.
thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That is the consent agenda list. All of these items will be on this Thursday's business meeting agenda for your final action. Next, Clackamas County Investment Policy. Review and update and action requested on your part. County Treasurer Brian Nava will present. Welcome and go ahead, please, Treasurer Nava.
Good morning, Vice Chair, Commissioners, County Administration, County Council. Now, is it Jane Vito or Veto? Veto, okay. It's French. Oh, so we should have
we
that
had
up
somebody
here.
in the room to help us.
Perfect. Nice seeing you this morning. Nice seeing everybody as well. Again, Brian Nava, Clackamas County Treasurer, here to present the annual review of the investment policy. The Clackamas County Investment Policy provides the framework for the investment of the county's public funds by the Treasurer's Office. The county chooses to purchase investments with a maturity between 0 and 36 months. The investment policy is to be reviewed and adopted and approved by the Board of County Commissioners annually. No changes in substance have been made to the policy from the previous version reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners. This policy was last reviewed and approved by the Board of County Commissioners on June 6, 2023. There exists no dollars associated with this approval. I'm open to any questions.
It looks pretty great and straightforward. Thank you. I don't see any questions or concerns from the board.
So we'll need a motion to approve if the board is ready to do that.
So move.
We have a second?
Seconded.
We have a motion to approve the investment policy presented by Clackamas County Treasurer Brian Nava, and we have a second from Commissioner Scholl. Tony, can we please take the poll?
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Vice Chair West.
Aye. The motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
seeing everybody.
You too.
Thank you, Treasurer Nava. Next, Local Access Road Bridge Program. There's a memo in your packet and board direction sought today. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, will present.
Good morning again. So I am here today to kind of just discuss with you this is the first of 2 issues. It's the use of county road funds on local access road bridges. I want to highlight that. So let's just do some background and some history here. Local access roads are public roads that are not county roads and have never been accepted by the county for maintenance. although the county is not liable for failure to improve them or to keep them in any state of repair. But it should be noted through ORS 368, the county can only spend county funds on local access roads or bridges on these roads if the BCC determines that the work is an emergency, and I emphasize the word or, the BCC enacts an order or resolution based on the road officials recommending an expenditure that is justified by the public use of the roads. We historically have not spent a lot of money on local access roads. I can recall once or twice, one of the most recent being during the 2020 wildfires, we had a situation with a road possible failure due to the fire taking down vegetation on the road. So we basically dealt with that through the minor expenditure of road funds on that local access road. We have hundreds of local access roads. But there's only 3 of these roads that have bridges of at least 20 feet in length. That's Goose Creek, Salmon River, and Hatchet Creek bridges. Why is 20 feet important? So essentially, all public bridges that are 20 feet in length or greater in the U.S. are required by the Federal Highway Administration to be inspected every 2 years. These inspection reports often have maintenance or repair recommendations based on the deterioration of or stream flow changes associated with the bridge. Some of these recommendations vary in amount of money needed to repair, but some are very minimal. And most recently, ODOT has notified the county that Salmon River Bridge must be load posted based on the necessity for maintenance. And that posting could result in emergency vehicles not being able to use the bridge. However, with less than about $15,000 worth of work, should the board approve it, use of road fund, to install additional deck timbers, the load posting could be removed. Given the uniqueness of the bridges, again, the bridges is a critical link to our road system, and to avoid future emergencies, this is basically a small investment of money to defray long-term emergencies associated with these roads. We're here to request the board consider a resolution that authorizes the road official, that'd be me, to expend county road funds on local access road bridges as a part of a continuing program with the following constraints. 1, the road official recommends that the expenditure is justified based on the public use of the bridge. Again, this is bridges only. 2nd, the authorized expenditure is less than $100,000. That is option 1. Option 2 is the fact that BCC could consider an order or resolution only authorizing DTDs to spend the $15,000 one time on the Salmon River Bridge to remove the load rating, or the BCC could decline to consider the request, in which case the DTD will keep the bridge load posted at the rates identified by the study. Staff is respectfully recommending the BCC direct staff to bring back an order or resolution in coordination with County Council authorizing the road official to expend county road funds on local access road bridges as a part of a continuing program, with the constraints discussed with you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So essentially, be up to the discretion of your department or yourself on whether or not on the one bridge, the exception there you called out with the load posting, the Salmon River, you still have discretion to do that.
Yeah, essentially, if the resolution as proposed would have to come from you to authorize the road official to do that. When assessing the options, we're just thinking out loud about what are constraints that would be of interest to the board. And obviously, the interest of the board is the good use of public funds. So we established that cost threshold. But essentially, yes, that would authorize us then to advance where necessary, just on bridges. Remember, we only have 3, but it's just on bridges, those 3 bridges, to meet those needs within those confines or requirements stated below.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Any action necessary? A motion?
So this will
bring
come
us
back to you at a business meeting. So if you are opposed, tell us today. But if you're okay, then no motion, but we'll prepare the staff report.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay. How about y'all are good? We're good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next, creating a dog services charitable fund and related advisory commission. Dan will present this as well.
Okay, so harken back to April 9th, we came before the board, essentially, and the BCC directed staff to prepare a resolution creating a dog services charitable fund. Basically, we have a dogs foundation that holds money outside of essentially the county's budgeting process. And essentially the staff, the staff asked the board of directors if they would consider transferring their current endowment to the county for easier and more streamlined management and having dog services accept future contributions directly from the public. Because that doesn't change anything. The dog services can accept donations as the foundation could. And we can basically continue to accept donations going forward. They're all tax deductible, all those things still apply. Essentially, there's a resolution attached to the information provided you, and should the VCC choose to approve the resolution on a future consent agenda, there would basically create the Dog Services Charitable Fund, which could hold all such contributions in a pass-through program to be used only for and by Dog Services and its programs, and to be distributed through the budget adoption process. Essentially, it results in right now we have 501c3 on the outside of the county, and basically we take all those monies and bring it into our budget process and dissolve the 501c3 that's out there currently. I mean, the role of the dogs, we appreciate the work of our Dog Services Foundation. They've done a lot of great work to date. In all honesty, it is, I'm not sure how many of you have done work for a nonprofit. It's the reporting that we have. It's the tax discussion we have with them. It's a lot of work to keep up that foundation, and it's been difficult historically to kind of find folks to volunteer for those roles. So the idea is to take those funds internally. We can still accept donations. DTD staff will kind of coordinate with those folks kind of when we're going through our budget development process. But there will be a recommendation coming forward. We don't get, I don't want to say significant. We don't get hundreds of thousands of dollars from this fund. A lot of the fund dollars that have come through like wills that have come to the foundation in past, and that will still be an option. It'll just go through Dog Services. But essentially, before you today is the resolution that we discussed with you previously.
In a nutshell, are we basically taking over the administrative purpose of this nonprofit to relieve that burden for
just the budgetary responsibility?
The budgetary responsibilities?
We will include, correct.
So does that nonprofit still exist and it works in tandem with the county? I'm a little confused about our role.
Yeah, the 501c3 will essentially go away. The nonprofit will go away. And our role, it won't be, our departmental role will simply be to incorporate the transfer of those funds through our standard budget process. It standardizes it and streamlines it. Basically removes the responsibility that we have right now for assisting the 501c3 and a lot of the reporting requirements. Those reporting requirements are around meeting minutes, notices, taxes, things of that nature.
What's the expense to the county to do this?
Less than it is currently. I don't know the exact number.
Do we have any idea? Do we have any?
I'm guessing we probably spend, I mean, there's maybe $5,000 annually that we're spending kind of coordinating. There's such as a staff time coordinating that, and that money, that would go down if not away, because we would basically include the authorization of these funds in our standardized budgeting practices, which we do on an annual basis anyway.
Okay. Do we, will this make do you think this will benefit in the long run, the services we provide to our furry friends, or does this make it easier on your staff? Or is this an additional?
I think it's going to continue the benefit that we have for our furry friends. They've been a good partner, the foundation has, and we will continue to kind of honor what they have prioritized historically for expenditures. A lot of their expenditures are more around, they're around like financial support for emergency treatment. So for example, if we get a dog that gets brought to us from the streets that needs above and beyond the care that we can provide, we are provided funds for them to take them for more specific assessment and treatment through other veterinarians in the region. They've also done some work around equipment to make to help offset the costs that we have for the county, specified equipment to help treat dogs that we may receive within the kennels. I mean, their work has been, it's spay and neuter clinics, things of that nature. They've done work with that. They've been, like I said, they've been a great partner, really funding, I don't want to say, they're funding very important programs that are there that would impact the citizens of Clackamas County if they weren't there.
County Administrator Gary Schmidt, is this a core function, this service we provide for dogs and cats in our county?
I don't want to go here today. There is a component that is required by law that counties provide for either dog licensing or dog immunizations.
Correct.
Dan will answer that in a second, but otherwise, no. Most other counties contract with a nonprofit or an external agency rather than having a county staff and county function doing it.
So this effort has no impact on the general fund, but these services do.
The there are some dog services that counties are required to provide, not all. That's a larger conversation for you to have another time. But I fully support what Dan's suggesting here. This is streamlining the work of our staff. It's taking the money that already exists into the county that will only be spent for specific purposes.
Any further questions? Seeing none.
Thank you. No motion needed today, but Dan will come back for a future business meeting board order.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. All right, next, Association of O&C Counties Dues. This stands for Oregon and California Lands, of which Forest Lands, which we are a recipient of. We've been a member of this association for decades. The dues, annual dues, are $31,015.52. We have budgeted for this expense. These do come from county general funds. So I'm seeking your approval today to renew the county's membership, or not, in the Association of O&C Counties. Commissioner Shull is your representative on that panel. If you'd like to share anything, Commissioner Shull, about this group.
Yeah, please, Commissioner Shull.
Yes, just as a reminder, that over 2 million acres in Western Oregon are managed by the Bureau of Land Management pursuant to O&C Act of 1937. And it's a constant fight here in Oregon to uphold and protect our rights to sustained yield timber production and also to provide material to our domestic manufacturing. You know, we are under the gun from various federal laws. And so the the Association of Oregon and California Counties Board of Directors is actually our primary tool to protect what we have in the state in terms of BLM managed land. And of the 2 million acres, Clackamas County is the 5th largest holder of BLM managed land. So it's a continuous fight. You know, recently we've seen the sunset of the Secure Rural Schools Act last December. So the big question is, what now? How are we going to fight to protect our ability to sustain harvest and keep our mills operating and our forest communities prospering? This Thursday and Friday in Roseburg, I'll be at the Board of Directors meeting of O&C counties to discuss where we go from here. So I urge the board to approve the amount of dues of $31,015.52. I think it's money well spent.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've always supported the O&C counties. I think it's an important piece of what we do. The only comment I would make is that as an O&C county, we should also be participating in the Western Interstate Region meetings with those folks who are going there. I've done it in the past. I haven't done it recently, largely because it usually happens during our budget time. But I would suggest that that might be something Commissioner Shull and Commissioner.
I definitely look into that.
Yeah, be aware of that, because that, when you mention the federal government,
Yeah.
that's your leverage to get to the right people with that organization under that
Yeah,
Western
okay, I'll bring it up at the meeting this Friday.
Good, okay.
Yeah, just to jump in on that, we had an invite from the incoming president of NACO to be represented this year. I guess I'll say scheduling conflicts prevented that. I had a conversation with him in DC, and there has been some conflict with Oregon in this group, with the WIR and the dues that we're paying, and the specific, very unique needs of Oregon around these kind of policy initiatives with the type of forest lands that we have that are somewhat different than some of the other states that are part of this compact. And so I do think if we are, as we really make this a priority in forest management in our, not just our county, but in the state of Oregon, I do believe it's important that we're part of that coalition and conversation and have partnership with the other states. And as they're advocating for us, we're making sure that we're in that mix. And I think there has been some conflict that I've learned about in AOC meetings between this group and WIR. And so I'm hoping we can help build those relationships to make sure our needs are better represented, but we got to be present at the table. And there were some scheduling conflicts. We were scheduled to be there. I was scheduled to be there at the invitation of the incoming NACO president, but we ended up we had different plans here and back home. But I think having one of us, even Commissioner Scholl or somebody engaged in those conversations with NACO would benefit this board and county.
Commissioner
And Oregon's, we've been missing a little bit as one of the bigger counties involved in this conversation in the state of Oregon, which is a big timber state. So we should be involved. That's my opinion, but Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm okay with this, but I really think the time to maybe look back 15 years or 20 years maybe and see if we move the needle on this at all is probably a worthy exercise. because I've been around long enough to know, it just seems to be a perpetual, I call it a fight. I'll just take the word that was used earlier. But I'm really wondering, when we start adding all that money and then looking forward another 15 years, if it's just another 15 years, that's a lot of money. That's $3 million approximately, just roughly. I don't know the exact number. I'm just guessing. I see the need, I see the purpose, and but I just want to know that we're either making progress or we need to figure out a way to reassess the strategy in order to be successful.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was a conversation at an AOC meeting where a lot of these members of this group and from other counties were just concerned because WIR wanted to increase some fees to do a specific type of advocacy that didn't necessarily align with the needs of Oregon timber. And so I just think it's important if maybe we'll get a little bit more bang for our buck and our money's worth if we were at the table and we were part of that conversation. We can see the impacts of Commissioner Schrader's work with NACO and AOC over time, and I believe that has brought real benefit and dollars back to the county and advocacy and bring awareness to our federal partners and building really great opportunities and learning from other counties across this country. There's 3,000 of us or something like that, and so there's so much to learn. And even having opportunities to just expand that, but we can't just say, hey, it's not going the way we don't want to go. But if we're going to spend the money, we have an obligation to be at that table, and I don't think we have been at that table as robustly as we could be, and we do spend a lot of money. So we're either at the table and we make it worth something, or maybe we don't spend the money anymore because we're not even at the table and engaging as much as we could. So I think we could do better in that aspect.
Yeah, and I just want one other thing. Just want to make sure that, my comments are not just associated with this particular funding request, but all the other ones that are ancillary to this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, well, I just want to remind you that this morning, this request for the dues has only to do with the portion of our timberlands that are managed by the Bureau of Land Management, not the 500,000 acres that are managed by the U.S. Forest Service here in Clackamas County or the 10,000 that's managed by the ODF.
That's an important distinction.
Three different entities that manage.
Yeah. I think we have, do we need a motion to?
Yes, please.
Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the expenditure.
I'll second that.
I have a motion to approve the expenditure for ONC dues of $31,015.52. And I have a second from Commissioner Schrader. Any discussion about it any further? We kind of did that. I will call the poll.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Vice Chair West.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. We are going to continue forward with the agenda. Commissioner Savas has an engagement that he must get to continue to represent the county in other aspects and other things we do. So we still have a quorum here, so we will continue with the agenda that's been posted. And Commissioner Savas, thank you for your time today.
Very good. Thank you. Next, advisory board and commission appointments. Tony, go ahead, please.
The Community Action Board, staffed by Health, Housing, Human Services, currently has 3 openings on the commission due to term expirations. Through a recruitment process, 3 applications were received. 1 is recommended for appointment. That recommendation is new. The recommendation is John Parker to a first term.
I have a question. Actually, I'm going to ask my question before we entertain a motion. So there's 3 openings. We had 3 community members apply. Why is only 1 moving forward? I'm just curious about how that process works. If we need to fill these, I'm just curious.
I would need to follow up with staff to determine why. They don't generally communicate that information to me. As far as I know, this is not time sensitive. If the board felt, we could certainly hold off and get that answer before moving forward.
I do believe, I will, maybe, and this is maybe a little speculative, is this, this is the Health Council, right?
This would be the Community Action Board.
Oh, Community Action Board, okay. Okay, I'm just curious.
They may not meet the minimum, there's some for this particular ABC, there's some requirements to be met. They may not meet that.
I'm sorry. Now Administrator Schmidt says that, I do recall, I did ask about that. I'm sorry, I brain fog there. The other 2 members, this particular opening on the board is for somebody who either has lived experience with low income or poverty or has a connection to that community.
Okay.
And the other 2 members do not have that connection.
That's what I suspected.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Parker is heavily involved with that community.
Perfect. I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve John Parker to a first term to the Community Action Board.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scholl to recommend John Parker to his first term beginning on June 4th, 2027. We have a second from Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Vice Chair West?
Aye, the motion passes 3-0. Moving onward.
The second ABC, apologies, let me pull this up, is the Community Health Council. They opened their recruitment for consumer and non-consumer representation. Through a recruitment process, 1 application was received for reappointment. That is Michelle Walsh, who would be reappointed to a second term.
Do I have a motion for reappointment?
I move to approve Michelle Walsh to a second term on the Clackamas County Community Health Council.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Scholl to reappoint member Michelle Walsh to her second term to end May 20th, 2026. We have a second from Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion on this reappointment, this motion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Vice Chair West?
Aye, motion passes 3-0. We're moving right along here, Gary.
Thank you. Next, your review of your board business meeting for this Thursday, June 6, 2024 at 10 a.m. You will have a reading and adoption of a previously approved land use ordinance, which is ZDO 284, which, and among other things, includes the RV issue. So you'll have that this Thursday, and all of the consent agenda items you discussed today will be on this Thursday's agenda, and your other normal course of business, public communication, commissioner updates. If you have any question on any item, please let me know prior to Thursday, and staff and I are happy to answer it for you. Final item today, Chair, is Commissioner Communications.
Commissioner Scholl, you are up.
Yes, thank you. Like I mentioned earlier, this Thursday afternoon, I'll go to Roseburg for a Thursday evening and a Friday morning meeting with the Association of Oregon and California Counties Board of Directors. And one comment on that, it seems like we have been involved in a long time in the fight to protect harvest, but you remember we're fighting against the federal government, and it's a difficult task. I think we have some really good people in the Association of Oregon and California Counties working for us. A little update on an issue I've talked before about several times, and that's the Portland Water Bureau filtration plant project that they're working on just across the county line in our Cottrell area in Multnomah County. And just so you know, the Cottrell Community Planning Organization and the Pleasant Home Community Organization on the Multnomah County side have worked with so many people in the area who have given their own money to fund a legal fight against this project. And currently, the case is at the Land Use Board of Appeals. And, you know, they're working with other team members too, Fire District Number 10, Gresham Barlow School District, Oregon Association of Nurseries, 1,000 Friends of Oregon, and Multnomah County Farm Bureau. So for those people who have not learned about this fight to protect both ratepayers and our farmlands out there in Eastern County, please go to the Cottrell CPO website and learn all you can about this issue. And you can also click to donate to help the legal fund. And that's what I have for you today. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw has some questions, or even maybe even for Gary and Ms. Veto. I actually might have a legal question also. Just for the public record, our new county council has started this week. As we mentioned last week, Stephen Madcore retired after many years of excellent service to us. And I'd like to welcome Ms. Veto to the mic because I have a couple questions and maybe we can talk about this. And you might still need to be briefed on this, but welcome to Clackamas County, and this is your first public meeting with us?
It is.
Terrific. It sounds like there's a lot of people partnering on kind of defending the residents of Clackamas County that border this large industrial water plant being placed right across the street from a school. There are a lot of legitimate concerns. It almost seems like it's being done because they think if it can just maybe roll over rural Clackamas County a little bit and they won't have the ability to fight, to be honest. It's the big city of Portland putting this plant right there and really infringing on the livability and the quality of life in a very concerning way to our residents that share that border and are the ones that will have to live with this. It's at Luba. It looks like a number of people partnered to try to fight against this. Do we have the capacity to be a friend or is it called an amicus brief to the residents of Clackamas County that are fighting this? And is this maybe something we should consider? Has such a thing been asked of us, Commissioner Scholl? As I know you're the closest commissioner on the ground to this. You also live in that area and understand it.
Yes, I think we talked about that, but it did not happen. I've been an advocate for the people of Clackamas County living in the Cottrell area, but not just them.
True.
Because this plant is $2 billion, and it's going to be paid for through ratepayers by monthly bills, every 2 months.
Right.
So this plant, if it happens, it's not only going to affect the lifestyle in the rural community and the exclusive farmland zoned land that this is to go on, but it's going to affect the pocketbooks of everyone from Cottrell all the way to Tualatin, City of Portland, and a lot of different small water companies in between that use water off the Bull Run. And the potential increase for water bills is very, very, very significant.
Staggering.
And as you know, on just about everything, one of the first things I'm concerned about when it comes to protecting the people of Clackamas County is their pocketbooks. So, and the other thing too is, I've had many people call me that live all across the county, but in particular, Eastern County. They're in their 90s, they've drank this water their whole life, and they've never had a bad drink of water. And they ask me, why are we being compelled to accept this $2 billion project? And it goes back to Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. It goes back to the Federal Clean Water Act, and those are being applied just across the board to a very pristine water source, when I believe the federal government should be more concerned about Flint, Michigan, where mud comes out of the tap.
Yeah.
So this plant is a very expensive fix for what most people in the county see as a very, very minute problem.
Interesting. I see that.
I'll start.
Yeah.
So as you know, this is a City of Portland project, not a Clackamas County project. There's limits to our involvement. This is Jane's first day. She's not been briefed yet. We're happy to brief you offline, Jane. I understand you would like to comment, and then Dan Johnson can comment on what we've done so far.
Thank you.
The only comment I'd like to say is that this seems to be, at least for my role and my office's role, something that perhaps we can talk about at next Tuesday's meeting and talk about what particular courses of action legal counsel's office can take. So I'd like to table my discussion for that venue.
Perfect. Thank you. Dan?
I should have left.
We always call you back. This is a thing.
This is just more of a reminder. Obviously, you as citizens, as members of the community, as elected officials, have the opportunity to provide comments, questions, and concerns about anything that you see in your community that's affecting your population and the citizens of Clackamas County. I just want to highlight the fact, though, that this is a delicate situation, and it's delicate because this particular and it's, again, not a Clackamas County project, but the project sits directly north of the county line. It sits on the county line. And essentially the county, while the I don't even want to say majority, the plant itself is holistically within Multnomah County. There is some land use proceedings that had to occur through Clackamas County for access and things of that nature to that site. Those have been reviewed and approved. Again, our planning department reviews them consistent with applicable criteria. Those have been reviewed and approved by Clackamas County. I do believe they are on appeal to LUBA, similar to the work that was up in Multnomah County. But there's just a role, we have a decision-making role in that discussion. And I do believe we actually had a condition of approval as a part of our land use process that referenced the fact that it was conditional that Multnomah County approved the plant itself. And so I'm just reminding, as a sake for discussion, that there's a lot of different things at play here.
I agree with that. Unfortunately, I come from the city of Wilsonville, where there's an airport just north of the boundaries of Wilsonville, but we're an impacted community. And we're very much involved in that conversation, as you're well aware of, as the former counsel to Marion County, just because, and this is much more of a direct, literally on our border, and I am concerned that the rural residents and the children at that school are going to get steamrolled over this infrastructure project and large industrial project that is being placed on our border. And I do feel like we have a responsibility as their representative government to, at a local level, to talk about what our role is and what we can do to represent their interests specifically. And I think that Commissioner Scholl with his work makes an absolutely compelling argument that we could be a little more engaged in this and have a better understanding of our role. I'd like to see and know our role legally. I like to understand really what's happening at LUBA and what options we have to engage in to do the right thing for our constituents. I don't have all that information yet, but this is bubbling and not going away. I hear about it all the time. And we are all elected at large, right? Like Commissioner Scholl cares about what happens in Wilsonville on my end of the county, and I very much care about what happens on his end of the county, and so does Commissioner Schrader in Lake Oswego and throughout the county. So I don't have enough information yet, but I am concerned because this is not, I keep hearing it. I keep hearing it to a point to where I need to know a little bit more, I think, about what we need to do. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So I don't know if that gives you some direction about what we'd like.
Executive session is a place to have those conversations, and Jane will have it for next week.
Okay, perfect.
With options.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for bringing those concerns up today. Those are important. Commissioner Schrader.
I don't have much to share today, so, so thank you for asking.
Thank you. I guess I'll finish off with my comments as we have not a full board here to speak, but the public is probably noticing and seeing in the media that I'm acting vice chair right now. And Chair Smith was unable to join us due to medical issues and cardiac issues that she experienced just before budget meeting. I'm proud of this board that we were able to fill in the gap, and she was missed during those proceedings, during the budget meetings, but I'm very proud of the deliberation that we took. We took extra time to make sure that we dealt with persistent issues that keep to come up cycle after budget cycle after budget cycle, and we tackled those, and we worked with 5 community members to get those issues addressed. And I'm actually, after that hard work and rolling up our sleeves, which it truly is that's what it was as we addressed the budget issues, I am very proud of I'm very optimistic about the outcomes we're going to get, and hopefully have us in unison working with a very transparent budget moving forward with all of our departments and elected officials and their departments. So Chair Smith, as reported in the media, she did have a heart attack. She's receiving treatment. That treatment is going well. She's responding fantastically to that treatment. And we wish her a speedy recovery. And we know that she'll be back with us soon, leading us forward as a county, and we look forward to that. And in the meantime, we're all going to step up and make sure that we continue to do good local work, and we support our citizens and do the essential work that local government does without missing a beat. And so we are committed to that as a group. And I'm honored to be able to have the opportunity in this time to serve as the vice chair of Clackamas County and help run our public meetings and agenda, and to keep on tabs on the things that are important. And I am just really thankful, Scholl, that you brought up that issue again today, because I want to make sure that that's one of those things we are keeping a pulse on. And that's all I have to say regarding that. And until our next meeting, this meeting is now adjourned.